make massive moves.
Well, good morning and beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning here on your favorite channel, Galaxy Universal Network down in Johannesburg, South Africa. Your host, Maponga J, here on the program Sankofa, where we are discussing issues of our African culture, African history, finding our voice as African people. Of all the things that the African people should be aware of, it is development of our spirituality. And this has become as a wave for the past couple of years, if I'm not mistaken, for the past 2 years or 3 years. If you have been looking around your internet and looking around your social media space, you can see there is a wave of a great awakening for the African children, where histories are being questioned, practices are being questioned, Christianity is being questioned, food is being questioned, fashion is being questioned, and looks like African children, finally, the giant is waking up from its huge slumber and starting to map up and find her own voice in the 21st century. Now, of the many things that we can discuss in spirituality, over and above the cleansing issues, over and above the ancestral roots and connection, genealogical, historical things of importance, land becomes quite critical, because without land you cannot practice any culture, because you need your rivers, you need your mountains, you need your trees, and you need your families, you need your graves, you need your plants, from where all this spirituality begins to take shape in. And I hold in my stick my favorite thinking tool, which I will take you through quickly as we are pitching our conversation for today. I will allow us to look at the three sections, which is the past, where we are coming from, the present, where we are now, and the future in which we are going. This becomes our library, where we are coming from, the knowledge systems of the past. And as they feed into us today, this is us in practice now. The question is, how do we practice our past in the present? What is it that is in the past that we can take to the present? And this remains as our future. What are we transmitting? What traditions are we preserving, so that the children of the future can actually have a place on which they can hold on to? The four sections that are here today, I will not make it political, I'll make it African. Then we can look at the first loop here as the physical part, the second loop here as the emotional part, the third part here as a social part, and the last part here as I might call the mental and the spiritual part. Now, when you begin to deal with the issues of diet, which will be our departing point for today, it's not just what are we eating physically in terms of the foods that we are eating. All of us knowing, of course, that the stomach is the first mind that we have. Lots of the conversations that happen in the stomach affect the entire body. So what are we eating physically? That becomes the first bus stop. Secondly, what are we eating emotionally? What are we feeding into our emotional banks? And how is that diet of our emotion responding also to the physical foods that we are eating? Now you understand why in the olden days, young boys and girls would not be allowed to be eating eggs and other high protein foods. For the reason again that what they are eating physically here might end up causing some emotional, quick growing that will result in their own problems. And thirdly, you begin to talk about social diet. What sort of social food are we eating? We're already talking about entertainment. We're talking about our friendships. We're talking about our, socializing. And are we eating African social food, or we're eating European and colonial social food? And this diet which we are eating socially, how is it also feeding into our emotions? How is it feeding into our physical space? Kwamanje, now if you don't buy a woman flowers on Valentine's, or because she has been socialized to be told that when you are loved, you must have flowers on Valentine's, red roses. then you find that the socializing, the social diet already impacts on the emotional behavior. And by the time a man tries to access the wife physically, you may find that the social information has already created a barrier emotionally and physically. There's nothing going there. Ultimately, we want to come also to the spiritual part, which is also cloned up very closely with the mental part. What are we eating spiritually? And many of us who have become Christians, some of us who are trying to find their ways, culturally, and some of us who are trying to go to the East, trying to do some yogas and other extra oriental expressions, trying to feed into the spiritual space. Some are burning in pepo, others are going to the rivers, others are, all sorts of stuff is happening right there, burning candles, name it, because you're trying to feed into the spiritual part. The question is, as Africans, how do we feed our spirituality? So now we can go back again and say, this is the West, this is the North, and this is the East, and this is the South, which is Africa. The question is, how does the African feed his spiritually? How does the Easterner feed his spiritually? How does the Northerner feed his spirituality? And how does the Westerner feed his spirituality? Same line also in terms of physical food. What do the Westerners eat? In terms of physical food, what do the Northerners eat? What do the Easterners eat? What do the Southerners eat? So we keep on rotating around this stick, trying to make essence and understanding of our own culture. That is not only what we're eating, but are we eating what Africans must be eating? Because the diseases that are here, the diseases that are here, the diseases that are here, and they are here, they are not the same. Some of these diseases that the Africans are now struggling with are imported diseases due to the quality of food that we're eating, due to the quality of emotions that we're eating, due to the quality of socializations that we're eating. Now our children are playing PlayStation for 8 hours, 9 hours, sitting on the chair. Obesity has become a problem right now, whereas when we grew up, we would go up the mountains, climb trees and fall, push tires and run and chase animals in the field, and while we are there eating shrubs and herbs and berries and name it. And you would find that with the modernization and socialization of the African child, it has actually begun now to affect not only the physical bodies of our children, but sometimes also even the mental development of our children, the social development of our children, and ultimately also even affecting the emotional stability of our children. Now relationships are being built right here on the social spaces, Facebook, WhatsApp, I love you, a few emojis, and after that the young boys are ready to get married. You don't even know this woman from a bar of soap, but because of the social environment in which we are living in now, which is building the marriages of the future. We wonder what these marriages, what will be the physical health of these marriages? What will be the emotional health of these marriages and relationships and culture and community? What will be the socialization of this future that Africans are looking at? And ultimately, what will be the spirituality of this African continent that we are looking at? Instead of us thinking in this fashion, from the West, from the Europeans, from the Americans to the Europeans to the Chinese and the Africans, I've always suggested would rather think like this, from ourselves first, from Ubuntu. Then we can begin to talk to the Chinese people and what they're bringing into our space as Africans. We can begin to talk to the Europeans. What are they bringing into our space? We can begin to talk to the Americans, what they're bringing into our space. But we as Africans, we need to own our own culture, own our own environment and social status, but above everything else, own our food. For every country and continent and people that cannot feed themselves, they will constantly be a slave of those that are feeding them. To help me navigate this complicated subject of food, social food, emotional food, mental food, spiritual food, and all these emotional foods and physical foods, we have with us two guests who will help me to navigate around this terrain today, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves like genuine Africans. I have a gentleman on my right here and another gentleman on my far left, far right there. That one they call him Legoa. This one they call him Ndimande. And introduce yourself to the community out there in the African continent.
Okay, thank you, Mkulu. lo khulumayo umzukulu kaNduna uNduna azalwa umzilikazi kaNkashana insizwa engizalayo ke ezalwa uNduna bebebizwa ukuthi uNtatha indoda ayikadilwa kakhulu ayishana kakhulu ukuthi mangabe uyihlulile yayikuvukela early in the morning ikutshela ukuthi asiqhubekela sigcine khona yeah
binolanga lento
binolanga impela yeah uNdimande ugcwensa lona
Oh, siyabonga Cwensa. Now, as you see, those of you who did not hear some of the Zulu translations there, he is born from a father who was a warrior, and if you fought with him today and you beat him, he would not sleep. But early the following morning, he will come back and say, please, let the battle continue where we left it. And that is his grandfather. I hope some of that anger has subsided.
Yeah.
But ufuzo liyadlulela ngaphambili.
Yeah, liyadlulela ufuzo kodwa ke ba kune something eyenziwa ukuthi lingandluleli because into nento I believe ukuthi we the African there's some way la sidila ngakhona ngezinto ukuze singaqhubekeli phambili noma mhlawumbe siqhubela phambili sikhona ukuzibamba ukuthi izimo.
Okay.
Yes.
No, our audience is quite diverse. We're into the greater continent, so you will be mixing here and there, so that I don't have to be struggling to translate everything as we go along. And on my extreme right, Mr. Legoa.
Lo unqasana umkhiuka ummekela uTotoba usikhoza ngenkomo kwabasemzini abafukazana bekhoza ngomlomo phela umoya weliwa umzukulwana womthwa ongumthwa ngokwakhe umzukulwana welawukazi noNduna mahlatho phela sochona bina ndizalwa intombi yasemaqadini oqenga bomphankomo osomahwahwa ithole lo mthwakazi ndingumzukulwana konqoto sesiba silihlaza sicana ngomkhondo phakathi ndibe kumzukulwana kumablangwe nina ababhulizi ngabulana engwenyama onzila kanzothwane mina ndizala ngutata ongasekhoyo ukuthiwa ngutata umnyamezeli umnyamezeli.
What a contrast. This one is Mnyamezeli. This one is
Untata.
Untata does not sleep with anger. This one uyanyamezela. And ukunyamezela is the patient one. Wow.
Umnyamezeli kandala undala kaLegoa uLegoa kaLiphuwani uLiphuwani kaNqande uNqande kamapholoba kaSiduli into benizala yasemaqadini intombi kaSokhetje uSokhetje kaVageni uVageni kaMasilingane uMasilingane kaQhusheka. That's me.
Wow, you saw how beautiful it is as African children. You know your grandfathers on your mother's side, you know your grandfathers on your father's side, and you can actually put your family tree together. This is what I always ask you, the older parents who are out there. Draw your compass right there. On the left-hand side, you put your grandmothers on your mother's side. On your right-hand side, you put your grandmothers on your father's side. Behind you, you put your grandfathers on your mother's side, and in front of you, you put your grandfathers on your father's side. So front and back, those are the grandfathers. Left and right, those are the grandmothers. And those are the four grand people who made the two people to make the door through which you come into this life. There you have it. That is your fingerprint, your identity. And without you knowing, so when you see these diamonds that are on our heads, they are not just diamonds. They are compasses that are showing you the great birth canal through which we all come into existence. There you have it. Your four parents there, your grandfathers on your mother's side and on your father's side, those four make these two, and these two make this one. And beautiful to hear actually such an elaborate explanation of our historical connection. Here we are with a subject that is at hand, food and spirituality.
Yes. For me, first of all, I would like to elaborate more on the spirituality, on an ancestral connection and practice. Because you know what, these our days, people, they will be complaining, or maybe they try to do something, that they fail while they are doing it. If they fail, they tend to say, no, this thing called Ancestral is not working. It was there for our grandfather, but for us, it's no longer there. You see, that's a main problem that is happening now. That's the challenges that are faced by this, let me say, 21st century generation. Some of them, they try to practice those things, but not fully. That is why they end up living these things.
End up failing.
Yes, yeah. So some other things, some other people, they will say we are creating umsamo and things are not working. Some of them, they want to create umsamo in a urban area, like in the flats, which is not working. Yeah, as I've said last time, that I'm from the family that they're following umsamo kakhulu. Even now, even today, we still got umsamo ekhaya, not one. We still got umsamo lo sulandelayo, and for us, we see that it's working. This umsamo.
Maybe let's explain. Let's just step a little bit, few steps back, and you explain to us what is this umsamo you are talking about.
Umsamo, it's a place, or in a house, let me say in a house, there's a special room that is away from the one that all the people stays. That room, we call it Indlu kaGogo. And Indlu kaGogo, as I've said, is a special room. Akumelanga kube nomsindo lapha kulo yandlu. There mustn't be a noise, there must be a quiet place. It's where we went there, and someone who's been nominated to talk on behalf of us. We communicate with our ancestors.
But in the proper fashion.
Yes.
Makungumsamo kaGogo.
Yes.
Kubani uGogo olapha ekhaya?
I'm talking in terms of umugogo angaseko.
But I want us to establish the history correctly. We are not talking whether she's there or she's not there. But in the event, people in a normal family where everyone is there, ugogo or the grandmother, who is this person who actually is the original owner of umsamo? Okay,
let me start it way back.
That's why I was pushing you a bit.
Okay. Way back, kuba kona umfandeze, a guy and a lady. Then they get to marry each other. When they get to marry each other, that umakoti, there's a process ekmele ahambe through yon. Azabe nabantwana, abe ngumama, abe mdala, then kufikela ukuthi njengoba sika mdala sikafika stage sokuthi abe ngugogo sikane that authority yokuthi angahamba manje ahlale laphayana akhulume nabantu abangasekho. That thing, it doesn't happen just umuntu, let me say young girl, maybe a young woman like maybe 50 something. No, it must be an old lady who knows all those things. Also, that old lady, akumelanga bo umuntu ose, how can I call this? So ukuthi umuntu ohamba kuleso simo leso lesabo mama kumele kube umuntu oso ngasayenzi leyo nto leyo.
So let's go slowly. This is quite critical.
Yes.
In the southern kingdoms here.
Yes.
So you go, you get married.
Yes, you got married.
And the woman that you are marrying, I had Nkosi Bungani the other day, who took us through a very good process of marriage. So I think for our conversation of today will plug in there. Just for revision, for those of you who missed that episode, you go to the family where you're going to get married. You do your cows, you do your lobola stories, and after you've done that, the family remains with their daughter. They do a ceremony at home there.
To welcome that.
At the father's house, here at the in-laws, where they kill the child. But you don't kill the child physically. But you go to the kraal. And you announce to the forefathers and the ancestors who are in the kraal that this child has now been spoken for. She is going to leave this place, and these cows that have come here represent her leaving the house.
So if they're going to the clothes behind,
kill the sheep or whatever they do, and they make that blanket or the intestines of a jacket for her, and whatever, depending on the culture
Yes,
expression.
yes.
Then they'll take her from the in-laws' house
Yes.
to the Kwenyana's house, which is
Yes.
now the marriage homestead.
Yes.
And when they get there, then sifike lapha kwa Ndimande, sifike lapha kwa Komanzini, sifike lapha kwa Mtshali.
Yes.
We have brought your thing.
Yes.
That's what they would say.
Yes.
We have brought your thing, because it doesn't even have a name. And you, from the Xhosa background, you'll understand what that means. Lete into yeno.
Yeah.
And she becomes a thing, not because she's a thing, but because now she's nameless.
Yes.
Her name has been removed. The only thing that remains is her totem.
Yeah.
But her name is now changed. And from the family now, we will name her. We will give her a new name. But she cannot.
First of all, they have to welcome her first. There's a ceremony that they have to do it, maybe slaughtering a goat and welcome
They also
her.
take her to the kraal.
Yes,
They also take her to the
yes,
kraal,
yes,
and they will introduce her from there
Yes, yes.
and say, this one has come into the family
Yes.
now. And then they will do a ceremony.
Yes,
And
yes.
in that ceremony, then they will name her.
They will name her.
She has a new name.
Yes.
So she's a girl who has come into the family, not through birth,
Yes.
but she has come through the kraal.
Yes.
And ngesizulu sithi akangenanga ngesende.
Yes.
Ungene nesibaya.
Yeah.
Ngasesibaya. And so in other words, the child who comes in through the kraal,
Yes.
he has come through the ancestors.
Yes.
That's the part I wanted us to connect
Yes.
very carefully. So she comes in as a girl,
Yes.
as a young girl,
Yes.
and then she bears children.
Yes.
Then during that time, she umakoti.
Yes. We call him. We call her umakoti.
Then after she has a couple of children, uzengumama. Walapha ekhaya.
Before we come to that one, uba umama ne, while she is still a young umakoti in the yard, ne, he find other old ladies, maybe old mamas, gogos, who they teach her how to behave. First of all, they teach her
The traditions of this house.
yes, the culture of this house. That how if there's a ceremony in this house, where you must sit, what role you must
She's
play.
watching.
Yes,
She's
watching.
observing.
Yes,
She's learning.
step by step. Even if there's a time to eat, you don't just go and sit with whom to eat. There's a special people you need to go and sit with them, and also step by step until you come to that you are a granny now. You are Gogo, that we can go to that house and do.
So finally, I want us to, this is very important,
Yes.
because the young ladies these days might think that it is just a shortcut, zip, 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 you're there, sungu Gogo now. But you must actually take that this process of learning and educating you is preparing you
Yes.
for a very important task, that by the time you are there,
Yeah.
you don't
know
need,
everything.
you can no longer be asking people and say, Konje, wena ngumtakabani, you by the way, because you are the foreigner, take note,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
who is going to represent everyone
Yes.
in this family. In the closer space, take us through the process we are talking about here. How does it work?
Yeah, the African culture is similar. So in the Xhosa space, again, the young girl gets married into this family, then becomes a malokazana. Malokazana, yes. So malokazana is basically you are an initiate. So you have been initiated into this family. So as my brother mentioned, that you will meet other old gogos who will then teach you the ways of this family. One of the things they will teach you, there's a language we call uklonipa in the Xhosa.
The respectful language.
The respecting language. So basically, my wife cannot call my father with his name, and then everything that she will mention with my father's name, they will give her a name to replace my father's name, so that she doesn't mention my father. For example, you can say inhloko ichonsi, and then water in Xhosa water is amanzi, but in this case we'll say imvoto. So that you respect certain things because of the ancestors that had maybe similar names. So they will create that language for that.
So if there was someone called Manzi here,
and then you can't
use Manzi.
No.
You have to replace that.
Yes.
That's
Because
interesting.
now it's a sign of disrespect.
So each family now ends up having its own language,
Yes.
where certain things are not mentioned directly.
Exactly.
It's very interesting in the Shona culture,
Yes.
because I'm named after my grandfather. It was very interesting. My grandmother would have a problem calling me Joshua.
Yes, yes.
Or Mara-Rah, because that is her husband, her husband's name. So I ended up actually receiving names such as husband, you know, at a very early age, or something as a way of respecting, because you could not mention, and even other kids. I mean, you can say Joshua, and then my grandfather turns, and me, I'm also turning. So they gave me a nickname, that Big Wheel or something like a big wheel, you know, so just to avoid
to mention
the and the issue of naming the bride when she comes home.
Yes, and then they will slaughter that goat called Utsigi. Yes, and then the older lady within the family, then they would name that Makoti. To give her a new name now, because she's a new person. She's welcomed as the new kid or child of this household.
So she's born the day she's given that name.
Yes. And now, and then that is very critical as well, because now, when you are being introduced into the family, they slaughter a goat. So there's bloodshed there. So now, which is why in the olden days people are not divorcing. And even if you can separate, you are still linked to that family.
Permanently.
Because there's a certain, that ceremony that was done was to introduce you to the ancestors of that family.
Bind you together, connect you together. You were about to say something?
Yeah, about those names that we call by them. Even me at home, my real name is Nduna, because I'm representing my grandfather. See, so some people, they don't call me with that name. That is why some others, they opt for that name Junior, because they mustn't call that name for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, Mr. Mkulu, there's other things that a young Makoti that they teach her while he's in the yard that he mustn't do. Especially in the yard, as I've said, that the Indluwa Koko is it's separated from the other houses. So when he go there, he doesn't just go in the gate and go straight to that. He has to go around. And also, if they are sitting there, there's a way where he must sit. Don't just go and sit on the right or no. There's a place for the kids, there's a place for father, place for Koko, place for mother, place for these Makotis.
I want to push this thing a bit further.
Yes.
Is it possible that while you are talking,
yes,
that in the African spirituality, this is the first church?
Yes.
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 Why do you say that?
Reason why I'm saying that, because that house we regard it as a holy house or a holy place.
The holiest place in that
that family. Because that place, you mustn't make noise when we are there. Simple. If you are making noise to God, do you think God will hear you? No, you won't hear. But if you respect that house, you will able to respect God.
So that becomes the first congregation.
Yes.
When a family is called Wazane Msamo.
Yes. Also,
and there's order. Sorry to interrupt you. And then there's also an order there. So when you're going in, the males will sit on one side.
Which side do they sit on?
If you are going in, it will be on the left side. But
Men are on the left.
Yeah, if you are inside, looking at the door on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So the men.
And then the women
on the left hand side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
but when you are coming in, women are on the right. Men are on the left.
Yes.
When you are coming in.
When you are coming in.
Okay, but when you are looking
when you are looking from inside out.
It's the other way around.
The men are on the right hand side, the women are on the left hand side.
Hold it right there. When we come back, I want us to further unpack this Umsamo story. Umsamo in the Zulu culture and in the great Angoni families, even in my Shona culture, one of the first houses you build when you get to a place is to build this house, this big, huge kitchen that belongs to the grandmother, the grand matriarch of the family. Stay with us. We'll be back with you right after the break.
Galaxy Universal Network, inspiring Africa, making global impact.
Welcome back. I'm excited to have all of you join us here again on your favorite channel, Sankofa, Galaxy Universal Network, whether you're in Bujumbura or you are in Conakry out there, you could be right up in Ife or in Port Harcourt in Nigeria, Blantyre in Malawi, or Kisimu in Kenya there. We greet you all and we're excited that you have spent some time to spend this great, beautiful Sunday morning with us as we are sharing African cultures. And you can see some of us, we're now getting old and we want to leave this information in your hands. And what you're going to do with it, that all belongs to you. But it will be a disfavor if some of these old people should close their eyes and this information is not heard and is not audible, it is not documented, it is not shared, it is not stored somewhere, so that the next generation should come and find some library where they can plug in their futures and develop a better dispensation for the African children. And while we were on the break, you were comparing the marriages of the past and the marriages of the present day.
Yes. Cool. You know what? Our African way, or let me say, we the Zulus, what we used to do. A guy used to propose a girl. And after the girl, she accepts him, or what's happening. Then the girl, he will go and tell their leaders, because we, the Zulus, we call our leaders. There's a girl who's leading the girls, there's a guy who's leading the boys, you see. But I don't want to elaborate a lot on that one, but I want to go on that marriage. So before, there was this thing that people, they used to propose each other. Before they get to
touch anything,
they have to first pay the lowball. But these days, now people...
You touch first.
Touch first, then the most important thing, the most mistake that they do, what they do, they touch things, or maybe they stay together. Once they stay together, children spawn. After the children born, they say, no, hey, because they see that now the children, now they are older, they become older. So what must we do? Let's go and sort the problem at home. Then what the guy is doing is send people to go and bribe the mother of that lady. She stay with him, you see, to bribe him maybe with a 10,000 or maybe with that amount, that figure. Then what they do after, they went to sign. After they sign from the magistrate court, what's happening? They have become father and a mother, husband and wife.
And the ceremonies have not been done.
Ceremonies have not been done. Then they go on with their lives. After a long time, maybe some people, they by experiencing this, now go hear some voice on his ear. Hey man, I hear something like that. What they tend to do? No, let's go and consult. When they go and consult, because of the desperation, they get somebody who's wrong. Say, no, your child, he has to go in a ceremony of Uktwas, which is, they are misleading the child. Forgetting that, no, they've done a mistake first. They never report at the back that, no, now this one, what's happening?
A mistake on top of another mistake.
Mistake on top of...
Now you must pay 60,000
yes.
when you have not paid 60,000 for Ulobola Umfas.
You see? Yeah. And that 60,000 for Uktwas, I say it's like you flashing in a water. Because why? You misleading that child also. You gave him a wrong way. Whereas the right way, it was to go and talk to the ancestors. That no, what is happening, that what has happened, and ask forgiveness.
Yes.
Yes, fix that problem. But because now we don't want to go and fix the problem. The only thing that we want to do, we want to go forward. No, he's going to Twasa. That is why nowadays we find some people, a lot of people, they are twisting, especially the young generation, 20, 17, 20, 25.
The problem is not
Uktwasa. Some of them, when
they are not accounted for in their mother's houses.
To go back, you know what, Mr. Maponga, our great-mothers, some of them, they not even pay 1,000 rand. Some of them, they just, our grandfather, they just take a bag of meals, bag of beans, say, because what they were doing, they were disclosing that I don't have anything. So if everything has been told, then there won't be any problem.
Even if you don't have,
yes.
Go.
Yes.
Go there.
Yes.
And because in Shona culture, for example, if you cannot afford the lobola, you come to our family and you declare that you don't have. Then the father of the house will cut a field for you and tell you, work here for a year.
Yes.
Your girlfriend is here or your wife is here, but you're not going to touch her for that year. You work there, you cut the trees, you plow, we give you some few cattle to plow with and work with. And then at the end of the 1 year, when you harvest your crop, miracle happens. The father takes a little bit, the rest of it he gives to you, and all the calves that were born while you were looking after the cattle, they're given to you, and your mealies that you have harvested, and your wife, and you can either move away or you can build your house closer to the... So that I want us to fix this thing, that marriage has been commercialized in the 21st century. It's no longer about building relationships. It's about, hey, I've sent my child to school. He holds a master's. Now, Ingani masters cannot live here with 2 cows. I need 120,000 because you are going to be eating my money and stuff like that, and which is a totally wrong attitude altogether.
Because also in our side is if now you don't have anything to pay lobola, and then you go, you speak to the guys, that family in which you want to marry, and then you could do what Mkulu say, you give those meals or whatever. But however, there will be an agreement. You will take that wife. The ceremonies will be done in a normal way.
We'll introduce you to the ancestors and everything.
Now, my wife. Then our first daughter, when she gets married, that lobola
goes to cover
and lobola the mother.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. That's interesting.
So there was a way. That's why.
And these are the things that must be spoken, because many of the young boys who are staying in town here, they are afraid. Nafsas, they are owing 200,000 plus. Their school is not yet paid for. They are already 25 years old or 30 years old. They've graduated. Now they are in the age now where they must marry. They don't have money. And many of these young boys, it doesn't mean that they will end up as nothing in life. They will make it. But the issue is that they begin to run ahead of themselves in terms of being honest. Even in the Shona and Ndebele culture in Zimbabwe, you come to the family, they say, umfazi akaqedwa. So that you come, you appear. If you have 1 cow or 2 cows, you come and say, this is what I have for now. You leave those 2 cows. We say, no, we want our 7 cows. Because how many do you have? I have 2. Okay, you leave those 2. Then they ask you, when are you coming back? Hi, when the strength is, when I've got that strength, I'll come back again. You find 3, 4 years later, you drive another 1 cow. Another 5, 6 years later, you drive another 1 cow. Even at 18, sometimes at 20, you still bring those cows, because it already creates a relationship between you and the family. And this family is now free to visit you. And those relationships are very critical, very critical.
Mkulu, you know what? That subject we are touching is broad, because you know what? The only thing that is killing our nation right now, it's a desperation. Desperation for man. That no, people, I know what, I can't give my child to someone else just for mahala, what. Whereas we the Africans, we go to ways in an African way. There's no one must suffer from hunger. No one must suffer that he doesn't have a place to sleep. Because I know way back my grandmother used to call someone, if he saw someone during the day when the sun is hot, he goes down the street, he go passing by, say, hey, call that guy, hey, when he get into my house, my grandfather will give him food give him some maheu to drink. Then he asked him, where are you going to? If he see that place that he's going to is too far, he will tell him that he must sleep. And the room that he's going to sleep is that house, the one that we call it Gogo's house. It's where he sleep. Even my mother passed,
Wow.
I think she passed away 2 years back, 2019. We are maybe in a township, but in that house at home, people, they used to come to our place and ask for, hey, Gogo, can you give us food? My mother, she won't say, no, I don't have food, I don't have money to buy food. He will just dish her.
Whatever
dish
she
him.
has.
And if he need a place to sleep, my mother will tell him, go and sleep there.
I think that what you've just said leads us exactly to the conversation that we're going to be having, the issue of food and spirituality. That look at that. A stranger is walking past the road, and in Shona we say, "Ukamai gasha," meaning all relationships are half. The only time we're fully related is when we can eat together. And in Shona culture, therefore, like it is also in Nguni tribes and the greater Bantu tribes. In some certain tribes up north, when you are passing by, you cannot pass by. You have to come in, and there is something you never ask for.
That's
food and water. So you don't, like those modern days, they ask you, do you want some food? Do you want something to eat? And no one will admit that they want food. But immediately someone enters into your yard, the first thing you know they need is water. Cool their throats, and while they're drinking the water, you're preparing some food and give them to eat. What is this food issue and the spiritual expression of the African people? I think we're right there now. We can maybe expand on that.
Okay, before we go to that point, Mr. Maponga, there's other thing that we used to do at home. And let me say, we the Africans or the Nguni. When we cook in the evening or in the afternoon, we cook for supper. We don't just cook small thing. My grandmother used to tell us that no, you can't. When you dish, you have to leave some food in a pot.
In case
someone hungry.
Wow.
Why we were doing that? Because we the African, we got that mentality that no one must suffer, no one must stay hungry.
And when I was going to school in Zimbabwe, that food would always be there. And because we were young boys, when we go to school in the morning and there was no visitor who came in the night, then we would actually have that as our breakfast to start the day. They even have the name for it. They call it munya. You know, the food that slept overnight. And we'll have a chance of revisiting last night's meal as we start up our day again. You were saying something?
No, and another thing is we always had like amaheu, umtoko, you know, the porridge from the soft porridge from sorghum. So like even today, if you go to the rural areas of Lesotho, you still find a lot of people, they still have that. So even if there's no food to eat, you will at least have that umtoko. And then that is good food. You know, you can get full once you eat that.
Yes, and once you drink the maheu, it's a maheu, you can make it from various, from rapoko to sorghum to millet to maize meal and etc. And you pound it, you cook it into a porridge, you put a little bit of water in there and a little bit of sugar, and then people would actually have some. And every msamo, every Indluka Gogo, it had these big clay pots. That my grandmother. What I remember in my grandmother. One of the biggest utensils in that house were these pots. Huge pots. I remember. I remember one big pot that will always have water. Huge one. That Makoti will come from the rivers and from the boreholes, and before you fill up your huts, you must make sure that you go and fill up grandmother's big hut. Next to that, I remember 2 or 3, because my grandfather had more than 100 cattle. I remember 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 pots of milk. I could almost tell you the fresh milk that was harvested today, yesterday's milk, that is still halfway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the other milk that is
already
actually
amasi.
almost and then big amasi.
Yes.
We used to wash our hands with that mkhus.
Yeah.
The one you
Mlas,
when you
yeah, from the-
because there were
yeah.
too many
Yes,
kettle.
yes.
So you almost had all these pots.
Yes.
Yeah, and then for eating, for cooking, and then she knew even how to harvest in the third pot,
Yes.
where it's almost now getting fermented.
Yes.
Then she would come there with a
Take the
nice
cream.
wooden spoon, take a cream, and then she had a smaller one,
Yes.
which was putting on the cream.
Yes.
And this was now the cream for cooking.
Yes.
You know, this was our cooking oil.
Yes,
you know?
our cooking oil. Yes, yes.
And you know, these things were like, and then macheu.
Yeah, macheus.
So you had all in her house. You'd find all this array of cutlery, and all of them have to do with food.
Yeah.
You know what? When we talk about those things, is what the young Makoti teach. They teach her what she must do when she's old. They are preparing her to that stage.
To understand this,
To understand all those points.
there's
those
science.
points.
There's lots of science there.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
just pots and pots.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that when she becomes the administrator of that house, then she knows exactly what to do, how things are done. If people are doing something wrong, even the old guys, you know, Abo Baba saying, "Hey, we're doing this," she will say, "No, full stop.
We don't do
Your
that."
grandfather used to do things like this. This is how
Yes.
it's done."
All right.
So you could never say no to the Gogo because, and there was also hierarchy, you know. There's respect and hierarchy.
Yes.
So even going to Msamo, no one can just go there and start saying Zopasha, I'm talking with my ancestors. No.
No.
There must be an elder within that homestead who is actually the priest of that
homestead.
Yes.
that homestead. And then he's the one who will go and speak on your behalf as kids. And another thing, even the funerals, they were conducted by this priest.
Yeah.
Today, if someone has passed on,
Just call a pastor.
we call a pastor.
Come and just
Yeah.
preach here. But let me. I want to share something that the modern generation might overlook, and I want to say it in a nice way.
Yes.
That the concept of the elder in the framework of Msamo,
Yes.
Msamo ngokagogo.
Yes.
I want to demystify this patriarchy and matriarchy story, where the modern generation think that the African cultures are patriarchy in terms of ubaba, nguye ungqongqoshe lapha ekhaya.
It was a Gogo.
In African culture, you can see where I'm going.
Yes.
In
Yes.
African culture, the homestead is being run from Umsamo, and the chief priest, Msamo, where all things are equal, is Ugogo,
Yes.
who is the grand matriarch. She is the custodian of the family, and when she hits the ground, even the fathers and uncles of this house must sit down.
Yes.
Before you go to plow,
Yes.
you consult her here. Before you go marrying,
Yes.
you consult her here.
Yes, yes.
When you are going to work to town,
Yes.
you consult her here. When you are coming back, you consult her. When your child is pregnant, you consult her. So tell me, who has brought this patriarch story? When in fact, in a proper African culture, actually the grand matriarch, who is Ugogo, is the one who is the highest authority in a homestead. Help me demystify this thing.
Because even if, let's say, as a young man, I want to get married or I need to do a ceremony, I go to my father, "Hey, Baba, I want to do 1, 2, 3. He will say, "Okay, let me think about it." He's not thinking about it.
He's going to report.
He's going to consult.
Who?
Ugogo.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. So where is the patriarchy? That's what I'm trying to put our foot
There is
on.
not a patriarchy. This thing of patriarchy came with the colonizers, the settlers. They dismantled our homesteads, and then they started miseducating the young children. Because what they did now, one of the things they did, especially if now you look at the history of Eastern Cape, where they lied and say a lady who was a seer, they actually arrested her into Robben Island, and then they said, she said, people, because it was a famine, so there was a bit of drought, so she said, people must kill the cows, their cows.
And must
all of
sell
them.
everything.
Yeah, and then the sun will rise in the west and set in the east, and then the ancestors will fight their wars. They will wake up from the dead, fight their wars and stuff like that. So some people, they actually believe that. They killed their cows, but some didn't. So
There was
now,
poverty.
yes, those people who killed their cows, they started being hungry now because now they could not use their cows because their cows was the main. The cow was a machine.
Main economy.
Yes, it was the main economy of the house. So now they were forced now to go and work for a white man. Now you have men working for a white man, you have kids and the grain is there. Then the white missionaries now came
The gospel
to
now.
teach now the young boys, to miseducate them intentionally. That's where we lost it.
Wow.
So we need to go back now and say, where did we lose it? How did we lose it?
And how do we
Then
repay it?
How do we repay it? We have to know our history. Our history, I think, is the most important subject.
Wow,
to us
that's
as
quite a
Africans.
very interesting angle right there, where the missionary now only finds a woman and the children, because the man is Usekoli.
Yes.
They've gone to Johannesburg
yes.
to work in the mines,
Yeah.
and then they did what they pleased with it. By the time you come back home,
Your kid is fighting you.
you are a demon because you don't believe in Jesus.
Yes, yes.
This is the King of Kings.
Yeah.
Eish. You know what, on that point, there's a lot of things. Yeah, but because of time, yes, we can, but there's a lot that comes from that thing. Because you know what, even the Umsamo, when the missionary came here, they told our grandfather that this is a demon. You're worshiping the demons. Because they want us to move from what we used and what we're using to connect to our Almighty God. You see, they say, no, this is a demon. We have to worship God in their own way. So, that was totally wrong to us. To us, Umsamo, it was working for us. I can tell you, I got a lot of scenario. I can tell you what we used to do, and God respond on that immediately. Even if the other scenario I can mention here is that if there was a drought, rain is not raining, people, they used to go out and go to the mountain. Before they go to the mountain, they went to these people called Induna. They went to Inkosi, and Inkosi, he will talk, then the rain will come. Or else there's other thing that they used to send small kids, let's say teenager, like 11, 12, 13. They say, because the rain is not raining, go in the afternoon when our mothers busy cooking, they send them, go and steal that stick and take that stick and go and throw to the river. Believe me, once they do that thing, the rain will come down.
Wow.
Because why? Because we were connecting with God, with that holy house we're talking about. So, but because of the colonization or the missionaries, when they came here, they tell us, no, this is a demon. So we move out from that thing. So that is why you see some of the things has changed now, you see, and also we are suffering.
I want to build up something again on now. While you are talking, actually, my mind is in my grandmother's heart.
Yes.
And I remember at the center of this kitchen
Yes.
used to be a fireplace.
Yes.
I wanted to go there to say we have lost a lot.
You go there first. You
Yes,
go there first.
In a sense that in that house of Ugogo, there's that center where there's always fire, you know. And then a lot of things were happening. When you put that fire, the smoke goes up, it sits on the roof, and then it creates some black stuff we call umle. That is medicine. Now, every morning you take that ashes, you take it to a certain place which we call a tutwini.
Yes.
That place is also a medicine, an area where people can be cured.
Yes.
If now a kid, as Umkulu was mentioning like earlier, before he came, that if the kid is sick, or maybe the kid seen come across bad spirits, something like that, you know, then maybe he's having nightmares, can't sleep, you take that kid to that place, and then you take that umlota, that ash, and then you wash the kid with that, problem solved.
Sorted.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that fire again, because it's in the center. Now remember, now these houses of Ugogo around. So the fire is in the center. So everyone that is sitting around, no one is sitting in front of the other. There's no corner to hide.
We're all warm here.
We are all warm here. Yes.
Wow. And in these floors, Zisindo bulongo. Bengo, you take the cow dung.
Yes.
Mix it with a bit of water.
Yes, yes.
And then you smear it. The insulation.
Yes.
The house is warm in winter. It is cool in summer, and all the bacteria
is gone.
It's actually disinfectant into this thing, and it's science. That is.
And then you look at the roof as well of those houses, the thatch houses, it's round, right?
Yes. And the roof is...
And then now I've seen there was a tornado in Eastern Cape not long ago. I just thought, okay, let me just have a look, because I know this thing happens. Let me have a look at those houses. I'm telling you, a lot of houses that the roofs were gone.
With the flat ones?
Yes, and the tiles. Those rondavels, the roofs were standing.
Wow.
If maybe the wind is too much, maybe there on the sides, the grass will just go up.
Yes.
But
otherwise the wind can go around. It's
science. Because
what I was talking about the other day, that maybe what our archaeology, our architectures are missing. It is the African architecture. And take that knowledge and move it to the university and say, okay, this is how our houses used to be designed. Then you can come back to technology and say, okay, how can we design now buildings in town which actually have this design? Because you walk around right now, the buildings are square. Instead of maybe trying to create round buildings. Look what that does to the winds and to the elements. Aerodynamics already.
Even the cars of today, the faster cars of today, they're becoming more rounder
rather than square. You know,
so you can see what the West are finding today.
We knew it all along.
All along, thousands of years.
And another thing we used also to do is that thing on top of the roof. When the cows have wounds. Granny would say, go to my kitchen there, beat that umle, collect it into a thing, mix it with salt, bit of salt, take warm water, you go and clean up the wounds of the cows, and then you actually put that thing, and those wounds will be healed.
Sometimes if the cow, there's other thing that grow towards the river, they call it ngesizulu indloloti, ne? If a cow happen that it eat that thing, ne, it get
the stomach
constipated, ne? So then they take that umule and
make it to drink it.
Drink it. After I drink it, then.
Is it that insect that?
No, it's not an insect.
It's a plant.
It's a plant.
Too green. It's too green,
and it's going long like this. But when as it doesn't go up, it goes like this. Fall down.
Okay.
But if the cow eats it by mistake, then it gets a constipation.
And if you didn't do that, the cow will die.
Will die.
Yeah. But if you notice early, then you put that thing, then it will be okay.
And while you're on that again, another element that I find in Samo is that on top of my grandfather then hung in some few poles from the roof, which would go on top of the fireplace, so that when he killed the cows or he has gone hunting and he brings some meat, then you'll hang it. You'll hang it on top of the thing. That was how to smoke our meat. You know, no flies, no nothing. So even chickens, you would smoke a chicken there. So and now you go to a restaurant and say smoked chicken, smoked this, and they're smoking what? We have been smoking these things all along.
And there's something also called ikwarkwatu. It's a dried fruit. So during like this time where there's a lot of peaches. So we'll be sent there to collect it, and then we cut it, we put it on top of the houses' roofs, or even on the floor, but outside
for them to dry.
So that so they're drying. So apparently that is a very effective way of doing it, because while the sun is actually drying it, getting water out, it actually stores some energy.
Vitamin D is going in there.
Yes.
So and another thing that also is exciting me now, actually lots of things. My grandmother also, when she just at the peak of harvesting, then she would walk around the fields, looking for the strong cobs, the strong sweet reeds, and other plants, and she would harvest them, even the rapoko or the millet or the sorghum, and she would bring a few of those bundles. And then she would hang them inside her house for drying. And then come the next rain season, because those seeds are preserved,
Yes.
the smoke becomes the insulation so that insects don't eat the seed
seed.
inside.
Yes, yes.
So come the next rain season,
Yes.
when she goes to plant, she says, hey, run to my house there.
Yeah.
Get the,
Go and pick those things. And then she would take them and plant them again. And I tell you, this science it never ceases to amaze me. And for some of us who grew up there, it became part of life.
Yes.
That you don't eat these things, you don't touch them.
You don't touch.
You leave them as they are. And in the greater, again, conversation of Itala.
Yes, Tala. Yes.
Itala, which is in the Msamo,
Yes.
which is where you find the bank.
Yes.
In the bank in Natal, Itala Bank.
Itala Bank,
So,
yes.
in the economy of the house
Yes.
is in the Msamo.
You know what? While we are talking about ukudla, ne, my grandmother used to buy maybe 10 loaves of bread by then. Then he take those loaves, the sliced one, he put it on the sun, leave it there maybe for one day. Then he took it and put it there. Believe me, that bread we are going to eat for 5 months, 6 months. Because it's dry now, it doesn't get rotten,
Yeah.
you see.
It's already preserved.
yes.
Preserve. When we go to school early in the morning, say give us 2 slices plus a cup of tea, you go to school. When we come back, maybe give you that 2 slices plus the dry fruits. Yes, we don't get
I mean,
hungry.
you still look healthy, man. You still look healthy from those days, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
because of those food.
He's quite old as well.
He's quite old.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm getting there now. I'm old now.
How old now?
I'm 52 years.
52.
Yes.
Okay. No, we are almost together. Almost
Yeah.
together. But I wanted just to explore also the concept of Itala, where now inside the Umsamo, you would actually find a preservation area and where the wealth of the family is almost kept, so to speak, and the family relics are kept. So that for me it created a sanctuary,
Yes.
so to speak, where you have the diet is right here, the hospital is right here, and when a child is sick in the family,
Yes.
ulala no koko.
Yes.
You go and sleep. So this was a hospital,
Yes.
and this is a factory. This is where the science is. This is where the church is, and this is where
And Abogogo were
Gynecologist,
the specialist of colon cleansing.
Hey, don't remind me now. Don't remind me now. Hey.
You take a small child, you bathe them, and then, hey, go.
You run outside there.
Run outside
Yes,
there.
It was a clinic. It was a clinic.
Yes.
My grandmother used to you call us a glass of water
Yes.
and a small little piece of aloe. Every change of season.
Yes.
Then she would dip the aloe in there.
Yes.
There's a particular in Zimbabwe, when you dip
Yeah.
it in there, the water becomes white.
Oh, okay.
But it's aloe. It's another
Okay.
special aloe there.
Yeah,
Then
the one-
she'll give you some ground nuts.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and then to bribe you a bit.
Yes.
Said you don't drink behind the house.
Yeah.
You drink it in front of her because hey, we used to try and hold it and throw it away. But and Ugogo, I think we're moving quite well. Ugogo was a hospital.
Yes.
Was the food. And by the way,
A gynecologist as well.
guess where I was born?
By Ukoko.
Payukoko.
Guess where I was born?
And the
Oh, yeah.
Behind the door at that Msam.
Yeah.
Most of us, me too,
Yeah.
I've born from that.
That way, that's where I was born.
Yes.
The whole, when my mother was now pregnant, she was actually staying in that
Yes.
house with
And-
Gogo, Msamo, so that Gogo would be observing and watching her overnight to see what is happening, and then the aunties will be sent around and come delivery time.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that she cannot do. One of the things that she shouldn't do, if she's going outside the door, she's going out, she mustn't stand by the door and come back
Yes.
while she's pregnant, because
Yes.
they say that can cause the baby to do the same.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of do's and don'ts that
Yes.
she's managing taught by.
Then the
by
other
Gogo.
thing, it was like this. If maybe a young Makoti, she's going to deliver, they brought her in this Umsam, in that house of Umsam. Then in that house, in that room, they used to make fire. And that fire, they check the condition or maybe the hotness, the temperature, how it works. If it's too hot, then they don't put more things. Yeah. But if it's cold, they put more so that they maintain the temperature so that it be warm.
To extend even on that, these old people were smart, because by being able to regulate the temperature of that room, they were actually not regulating the room.
Yes.
They were regulating the temperature of the baby in the womb, and also the birth canal, to make sure that the body is of a certain temperature. It's for that reason, when you go up in Malawi and Zambia and other countries, and even partly in KwaZulu-Natal, in some certain cultures, where women will always have a warm cloth that they tie around their wombs. And I read it somewhere that they actually are keeping their wombs warm. Because when you all this stomach out business freezes the ovaries, and you end up with your womb as a freezer. When your child, when you are pregnant, for example, your child is blowing in the wind, the mother wants to show her stomach, and that child is freezing, causing other complications. And this science has been with us, that when a woman is pregnant, she must stay in a warm place, must not do hard labor, she must not, sometimes even they will even take her away from the husband and keep her here to make sure nothing wrong happens. Mind you, these days, how you going to say?
You know what, there's a lot in that subject alone, as I've said, I'm saying again. Because you know what, when they take you out from your husband, we the African, we're having some ways how to accommodate that husband or how to accommodate the situation both sides. You see, but I don't want to go there.
No, you can go. You can go.
First of all, if the child is born, if a Makoti's got a young kids, maybe it's got 1 day or 2 days, when you go to the father of that baby, he's not allowed to come in immediately. But today you see people are just coming up and down.
They're even born inside, the father is there in the delivery room. And some of them faint.
If there is some people that are coming maybe from the family, they are coming to see, there was some things that they used to do. They
wash their hands, disinfect, sanitize.
Yes.
So talk to us about sanitizing and corona. We bacterial infections.
They put some papers or maybe some dry grass, maybe put fire. You have to sanitize your
hands, your
feet and wash your hands. Before. Then when you are inside, before you touch that kid, they give you the ash that they take it from that fire. You must do like this. Then you hold the baby. If you come with a baby to that family, maybe you are visiting that family, then once you get there, the gogo will take that child and go to that ash again, take that ash and put it
on their tongue.
To make that baby to climatize with
the temperature and the bacteria that are in this house.
Exactly. So there was a lot of things that were happening. Then going back to that point I was mentioning, if like for instance, we'll make an example. I'm not saying that people are still doing that thing, but it's what we used to do it before. If you got a house, maybe like for instance, I'm making an example like me, I got my house there, I'm staying with my wife, then my wife is expecting. Once they call my wife, once my mom or my grandmom call my wife, because you see that the days are nearer now, come next to me. Then from my wife's family side, they send someone to look after me. It was a norm in our African that this one, he must look after this man. Because we are a real Umkhwenyana. We are not like a boyfriend or maybe stay together. We are real Umkhwenyana. He must look after you.
And let's make it clear.
Yes.
It is not always that when they send that girl to you to look after you, it was always sexual. If you wanted to have her as a wife,
yes,
you will need to go through a ceremony.
Yes.
If she comes back pregnant, you'll be penalized.
Yes.
But she'll be there to cook for you,
yes,
to look after you. But if you cannot hold yourself as a man, and you end up making it into a wife, it was not a big crime, but you still have to go the right route again and reclaim. I mean, even when I got married to my wife's two sisters were sent with her to go to the village and assist my wife to get acclimatized and stuff like that.
Yes.
And before I noticed it, because this one was working,
Yes.
the other one was a student. So she was, when this one is at work, this one at least should cook and clean for the house and etc. And so they were actually even mitigating the risk of maybe having housemaids and etc. come into your space. And how much rubbish is happening right now with our housemaids who are the ones who are standing in the kitchen.
Yes, yes,
they are now also sleeping in the bedrooms now.
Yes, yes. They are helping also in the bedroom.
In all fashions.
Yes. So you see, this thing, we the African, the only thing that was good for us, it was everything, it was disclosed. These days, we don't do that thing.
There's no disclosure. People are just doing things privately.
Yeah, we just keep quiet, keep quiet. Then at the end, you find that, hey, there's a problem. But anyway, Umsamo was a place to help people.
I think we covered quite a bit on Umsamo.
Yes.
We've covered quite a bit. And so when you enter into Umsamo, some of you guys who might want to be practicing that, it's not a place that you just walk in by yourself and say, I'm going to Chisampepo. No, it's something that must be done in a well-organized, fashionable way. But I want us to move to and take up some few elements. You will help me, gentlemen, on the way Africans used to plow their food, the way they used to harvest their crops, and the indigenous seeds vis-a-vis the genetically modified foods that we are now eating, and what could be the impact of these modern foods that we have now made part of our diet vis-a-vis the olden foods that we used to eat. I mean, you just mentioned the maheo, for example, and sorghum drinks. Now, instead of sorghum drinks, hey, you Coke. Coke, you know, and maybe how did our diet actually feed into our spirituality?
Yeah.
I think our diet, because it was of nature, it was coming from the ground, so, and it was African, then it was going to the right places in our bodies, because we're not eating all this poison stuff. Because, for example, a lot of people, one guy was saying, a lot of people that are overweight, they eat a lot, not because of they are hungry. It's because basically it's because they can't feed the body what it needs. So you eat all these burgers, the body says, oh, this is rubbish. So it just become part of you and then become more and more overweight. You eat more and more because basically you are not quenching your hunger, basically.
You end up collecting more rubbish.
You collect more rubbish because every time you see, hey, I need to eat. But if you eat the right stuff, and then it helps you. For example, like okra. Okra has got a lot of benefits. So one of the things it does, it helps with the weight loss, because it makes you, it lowers your appetite, you know. So it helps a lot of things.
Even diabetes.
Yes.
I had even diabetes, okra. Okra is goosey. Goosey, this slimy thing, which is, and by the way, in Nigeria, it is a delicacy.
This is their favorite.
They have seen igusi, even chicken. They put igusi in it. They fish, they put igusi there. In beef, they could put igusi. So most of their diets are actually, and look how big Nigerians are, and look how healthy.
And they don't have big stomach like us here in the south.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We in the south here are short, and we have public works extended project.
Yeah, the other thing is, you know what? In the olden days, people were not doing vice versa when it comes to in terms of food. Like, let me make an example. People during in the month of January, February, let me say February, March, April, they were eating meals, a fresh meal. Then, let's say May, June, meals.
It's finished.
June is a period for lemons and what. But these days, you find people eat meal from January to January.
We're eating according to seasons.
We're eating according to seasons.
So I wanted to build on that. I wanted to build on that because even fruits. They were right fruits and right vegetables.
Yes.
Each vegetable and each fruit that ripens at a certain season
Yes.
deals with the diseases of that season.
Yes.
Exactly.
Also, you know what? I won't tolerate a lot on mealies, but what I want to tell you, the other thing is that during like now is February, you find people eat watermelon. The season for watermelon is somewhere August, September, because now it's still fresh. Then during June they harvest it. There's a lot of things that we just doing vice versa on it in terms of food. Like my grandmother used to do like this when it's a meal season. They used to dig down.
You also used to do that? Yeah, well, you do that also in Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
they
we
call it
used-
Fimbi.
Fimbi, yes,
Fimbi, you
yes.
dig in the ground.
Yes, dig in
you
the
put
ground.
some certain shrubs in there.
Yes,
and then
plus you
clean it nicely.
Then they put food. They put those meals.
Fresh food, fresh ones.
Fresh one. They put
Inside
it.
there, and you cover it.
They cover
seal
it.
it.
And then you eat it in
Yes, and then maybe
and still fresh.
still fresh.
Still fresh. The science. And that was our refrigerator.
Yes, yes.
Also proper refrigerator. I remember
You didn't have to
actually,
buy it.
I didn't even remember digging one of those and being told to go down there and clean it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the round nuts,
Yes.
ground nuts, mealies, and all the fresh products. You load them up down
Yes,
there,
yes.
and then you seal it and close it.
Yes.
And another season, another 3-4 months later, during the dry seasons now, like which June, July, August,
Then you can
Yes.
have that.
when there is no more greens around,
Yes.
then we'll go down there and actually have some green foods
Yes, yes.
to eat.
That was our food with the African. We used to. There's other thing that we used to pumpkin. Pumpkin.
Machot.
Yes, pumpkin. There was a way of eating pumpkins. There was a one that we put sugar on it. There was one that we don't put sugar on it. And the one that we don't put sugar on it is good during winter.
Wow. When you come back after the break, I think we'll be finalizing our conversation here with Umkhulu Legoa and Umkhulu Ndimande, taking us through some African ways of life as it used to happen in the past. How is it happening in the present, and where are we going with the present generation into the future? Don't go away. We'll be back right after the break.
The day will come when these measures are no longer needed. Until then, however, we must ensure that all our people receive adequate support. We look ahead to a better future. I have faith in the strength and the resilience of ordinary South Africans who have proven time and time again throughout our history that they can rise to any challenge that is presented to our country. We shall recover. We shall overcome.
Galaxy Universal Network, inspiring Africa, making global impact.
Welcome back, welcome one, welcome all, and we are here sitting with the Umkhulu Legoa and Umkhulu Ndimande. They are actually refreshing my memory, and my spirit danced a bit as I remembered my own grandmother back in the village where it all started. And the rituals, the sciences, the technologies, the harvesting, the planting, and amazing the similarities that I'm hearing from this show. How we used to do our things and how also the Zulu and the Xhosas are actually doing it together under the big umbrella of the Nguni tribes. Yeah. Now let's go to this part which modern young kids say, hey, bo baba na bumkulu, they were greedy. They were greedy. They did not want the children to enjoy some nice food. And when you are killing a cow, you are killing a goat, or you are killing a sheep, or is a chicken and what. Anyone who has memory as to being told what food you cannot eat and what food you must eat.
If I can touch on the cow part, because first of all, Africans, we were united. We were seeing ourselves as one. So in a village, if you are going to slaughter a cow, the whole village would know that the cow is going to be slaughtered there. So the young men will come, slaughter the cow. After slaughtering that cow, there's a certain meat that they will sort of braai there for them. There's a certain meat that would be eaten by the mothers. Then you look at the liver, for example. There's a part on the liver is called impundo in Xhosa. That part is not eaten by kids. It's for the gogos. Because they say that part actually can cause you to be infertile. Then if you look at the whole cow, there was a piece of meat for everyone. But obviously, as I said, everything in our culture, hierarchy, it was a hierarchy. So it's not like a cow, you know, okay, today these guys are going to feed. Then as a boy growing there, I knew that after a cow is slaughtered, then the next day, even let's say there was a big ceremony, the next day is our time as the boys. We will have what is called icengwane. So there's a meat that is going to be put aside. Then maybe the young men would maybe put it, once they know that we are coming back with the cows, they will start preparing it, just putting it there. On the fire, put a bit of water. So when you come and then we start looking after it, we cook it. When it's finished, the way we used to eat it, the kids, small kids, would eat first. So all the young ones, they would line up, they will get the lungs and a certain part, so they will be given, then they go. Then the middle class, or the middle section, so it was divided into three, the middle-aged young boys. Then they would sort of like, one would say, okay, I'm eating this meat alone. That's where now the sticks practice came in. If he says he's eating alone, you're like, no, I'm eating with you. We say, if you want to eat with me, let's fight a bit. Let's see. So it was not there to harm one another, but, you know, just to play a little bit. And then from there, the middle ones will eat. Then the elders will eat. So the elder one would eat the most, like your large intestine, certain nice one, but they wouldn't eat a lot. Theirs was a bit smaller, but the nicest. But the young kids would eat the biggest, but it was not that fatty stuff with a lot of fats.
Okay.
But it was a way of knowing your...
and you don't go there even if you are going first as young boys and you pick the big intestines.
No.
You don't pick one, you pick yours. It's all in one big pot.
It's all in big pot, you know what is yours.
Okay.
And if you put food there, you put all the pieces, you cut that meat into pieces. So you now, let's say you have done with your stick fighting, and then now you're starting to eat. You take one piece at a time. Everyone gets a share. It's not this thing today, if there's functions in the townships today, if you come with meat, sometimes people, they just come in, out, everything's finished. Some people, they can't even get some food.
One piece at a time.
One piece at a time, make sure everyone gets. And if in that village, there's a very old magogo, an old guy who can't walk. After cooking the meat, someone will say, hey, take this meat, send it to that gogo. Take this one, send it to that Mara-Rah, to that Mkulu. So everyone had a share.
In the village.
Yeah, I want to elaborate what Gogo Dingaan has said about the sticks. When young guys, let me say teenagers, play with sticks, it was not like they are fighting. It was a play. And if someone that one beat another one, maybe there's a blood that comes out. Before he beat that one, there's an elders that oversee all that function, all that activity. Then if happen that he one is get hurt, then they will tell the one that no, go and wash that your brother.
The one that is beaten.
That has been beaten.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then after you wash him, you come back. There's no enemy involved there.
Wow.
You are friends.
Oh, it was an accident.
You were playing. It was an accident. Yes. Then coming back into this issue of food. You know, we the African, we had this thing of orderly. I don't know if you understand me. Order. Everything was going according to order. They see you that you are at this age now. This food is not allowed for you because it will make you to be fertile. And they see you that now you are older enough now that you can do that. They give you that thing. You see, they don't just give you anything that, or maybe like, let me make an example like eggs. A small kids will eat eggs, but at a certain age they see that no, they say no, you can't eat this thing, because now they see that if you continue eating those eggs, it will bring danger to you because
To
now
fast forward your maturity.
yes, they say no, you don't eat now. You have to leave it. Also with these things that we used to eat, like cheese, like let me say a cream that they taken from the milk by the Gogos. Yes, it was eaten by certain people, not all the people, because once you eat that thing, you will do things wrong, and once you do things wrong, you will put your father into
your
trouble.
mother into trouble.
Yes.
You even hear that in the celebrations of the weddings.
Yes.
You know, where they begin to sing.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you know, now it's like the young men can now start eating groundnuts.
Yes,
He can now start peeling them. Of course, it's in two ways.
Yes.
The language is in two ways that now he can also open
Yes,
and see what is inside the groundnut.
Yes.
But the celebration is almost celebrating that, okay, now, finally,
Yes.
you are now allowed to eat groundnuts non-stop because you are now men, you are now married. So you eat in lengo, so I cook the lengo.
Yeah. Before I come to that, let me mention this point. As I've said, we the African, we're doing things orderly. Even if you get married, you are not allowed to penetrate your own wife immediately. There was a certain ceremony, certain things that you were supposed to do before you can say, now I can penetrate her. You see, you are not allowed to do that thing.
Even after marriage?
After marriage, I'm talking about after marriage. You can sing that song that no, now so you got that pins, you can. Yes, it's a welcoming to the fatherland. Yes, I can say welcoming you to the fatherland, but you must know that there's things that you need to go through. There's other thing they call it ugusoma. You see, with the Zulus they say ugusoma. Maybe people at home. Yeah. Not saying Msomi. We talk about Ukusoma. You see, Ukusoma is like you sleep with your wife, but you don't penetrate. There's a way that you use it.
You must come around and teach us some of these techniques now. You know?
Maybe that is the foreplay we miss in these days.
Maybe all our women are complaining of premature ejaculation and what and what. Hey, with the man in my house is not. But maybe there's some science. We are missing some, and pregnancy also, and you know, all this thing. It can actually be found. You can actually find that it is. There is some science there that could.
Yes, there was science because they give you this thing when you say we are soma. You told that you got a wife now, you sleep with her, then you have to do that thing of soma. You don't penetrate her, but you just put it there in the middle of
the thighs.
The thighs, yes. Then until the Magogos brought something so that they will prove that that lady we have married, it's a real virgin. They put a white sheet. then you know when they put a white sheet, you know what you must do now.
Now you're allowed to enter.
You are allowed to enter. But before that, you are not allowed to do that thing.
Wow.
And then there's something you mentioned, I think a while back, that after having that sex for the first time, there will be blood there on that white sheet.
Yes.
Then that makoti will be highly respected in that household because of that. And then that sheet as well will be kept, you said it will be kept somewhere safe there. So it's like a,
you will hang it outside.
Crown of some
No, not outside. It's hide because that thing is precious. Yeah, it's precious.
It's evidence.
Yeah.
When the woman, when you are misbehaving and you want to chase her away, and the woman says, but my sheets are red. You know she's reminding you of her identity and her value. And
no, but if you have gone through all that process, there's no such thing that the woman will tend to be misbehaving because you know that we have gone a lot. We have gone a long road to get there. And for you also, if you are a woman, once you go all those steps, at the end you will be proud. You feel proud that, no, yes, I am.
Because many of our men, without us sounding too sentimental, many of our marriages and modern marriages are in trouble.
Yes.
Because our boys and girls are bringing baggages of experiences. I mentioned it the other day in one of my shows where I said, you find that a car is a 2022 car or 2021 model. But if you look at the mileage, 256,000 kilometers. It has not even finished a year, but the mileage, the odometer has gone, it almost needs an engine overhaul.
Yeah.
And by the time they're getting married, you wonder what are they marrying and where are they going to start? Because this one already has preferences. Me, I want it like this. Me, I usually eat it like this. Me, John used to eat it like this. And Christopher was eating like this. And Mary used to give me like this.
Yes.
And Juliet was giving me like this. And Unomsa was sleeping like this. And Unoktula. And in your head, here you are now with a wife and here we are with a husband. But you look at them and you want to bring all those ghosts in the shadows into your own house, and it creates problems.
Yes, you know what? Let me just say this point. As I've said, that we the African, we were people who were looking after things orderly. The most important thing that we used to look after, our parents look after us. They say, no, I want the world or the people see that I've teach you the right thing. So for us to get into those things of all those people, when they say you mustn't eat this thing, they will look after you. They will make sure that you don't eat this thing. And if happen you find that you do that thing, you see that it's an insult to you. Because when it comes to a point where now we have to eat, let me make an example, like you are a girl, you got a baby now, without a marriage, we are not married. Then when is the time to eat, who are you going to sit with them? Because you will see there, here's the makotis, here's the mamas, here's the cocos, here's the boys.
And the girls.
The teenagers.
Where is your team?
Where's your team? Where are you belonging to? It's an embarrassment. That is why they wanted you to go step by step.
So that you see it correctly in the
correctly.
Right. You were about to say you were about to say something there. You were about to say, I don't know, he cut you short.
Yeah.
I was still it is just a slip of your mind.
Okay.
Any other?
But just to add where you're saying now, like there in this, like when I grew up, what happened is that if you happen to impregnate a girl, you know, because I mean when I grew up already these things now were happening already, we lost. In my family, you were forced to marry that girl. Because who's going to be the father now of that child?
It was responsibility.
Yes.
It was responsibility, and you don't just hit and run. You hit and account, and come back and pay the damages, for breaking into someone's house illegally. And I don't know at what age would boys start tampering with umqombot?
My knowledge and my understanding, umqombothi from our house, let me just say from experience, at home, my grandmother used to do, there's a mqombothi that they use, they say this one is for the people that they will come. Then there's a special one that they put in, say this one will make it for the ancestors, they put it there. After they finish the one that they drink, there are other people. Then that one, we call it ukamba, dabatala. That one, when we're still young, they see also what age, maybe like, say 7, 8, 9, they will call you all the small, come here, have a sip. But after 9 years upwards, they stop it, say no, now you are old. So maybe you'll do it when we are older now.
We are older.
Yeah.
So the issue of drinking Mqombothi, drinking African brews, it was not actually happening in there.
It was not happening.
Because almost these young girls now are giving their kids savannas. We've seen them on the internet. I mean, puffing these, what do you call this, bubblies, etc., making their small little kids smoke. And you from the Xhosa side, we cannot ignore also in our way.
The Xhosa side as a young man, if I can just go to that one of Mqombothi. So you will grow up as a boy. Once you reach puberty, maybe around 16, 17, and then you go to be initiated. Then after that, that's where you will start now being introduced to drinking Mqombothi, but in a mannerly way.
Okay.
While you still equala, because what used to be done in the olden days, in Lesotho still, they're still doing it. You know, the guys will go into one
hut.
Yeah. Then there will be a lot of them. So when they go out, they will go from house to house. Let's say there's about 16 of them. So they'll go to all 16 houses. So today they go to your house. Then there's a ceremony. So at night we'll do what is called cleanser. We'll be singing the Xhosa songs, and there will be a bit of that Mqombothi, you know, that begile will go around, you know. So that's where you are introduced to it, but bit by bit, you know, you need to be able to control yourself and as well like that. And then if you do anything wrong, your peers will be able to punish you.
We'll call you to order.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing is when at home, when we used to, they give us this thing. It was not like, let me make an example, like if we got a ceremony that we were having over the weekend, then that ukamba will be drunk maybe on Monday. And also what they have been slaughtered over the weekend, there's certain meat that is going to be put aside. That meat is going to eat by the people of that house. Family only. Family only. If you are not there, which means you are not part of the family, then before you eat that meat, then you will have a sip on that Mqombothi. Then when you are old, then they say, no, you can't do that.
It was all linked up to family knitting and coming together. And again, in the African culture, we cannot undermine the issue of eating together.
Yes.
You know, at an early age, children are already taught sharing. I mean, I heard you mention earlier on, you know, the meat is there, the whole dish is full. Now you don't go there and dig your hands and grab as much as you can and fill up both hands and run away. You know, you go into the dish there, you pick up a piece. You know, in my Shona culture, for example, you have a big dish of we used to eat together, all 10 or 12 or for sometimes even 14 of us, the young boys. Granny would just have a big dish of pap and a big dish of vegetables or meat. Then we start eating there, and when you start eating, you don't pick meat. You just do the soup. And the one who starts eating, the one who starts the dish is the older one. So even if all of you are hungry there, you cannot start eating until the oldest amongst the boys comes in. And sometimes he's still washing his hands there, and everybody is sitting there, and they are waiting. They are waiting for the older one to come. When he comes, then he starts with the soup. And he goes with the soup. And a few moments later, then he will go into the dish and pick up the meat. And the big one, big brother, is one who will take the biggest piece. Okay? And he will wait. And then everyone picks up a piece. And then find that the youngest one ends up with the smallest piece. And then the big one now must break a bit of his piece. and give to the other one. If the second one also is a smaller piece, the second one also in command on the list must break his piece also and give to the younger one. Until at the end of the day you discover that it was an equalizer where no one has a bigger piece, no one has a smaller piece, because the one with the bigger piece must compensate for the one with the smaller piece. And I find this to be a very good way of creating an understanding amongst the African people, that it's not about me, I have enough to myself, and I'll grab everything to myself, and whoever has a small one, that's your problem, you eat the smaller part. Does it also happen like that in your space?
The other thing is that thing, when our parents use that thing, there was a certain thing they wanted to achieve out of that thing. And the most common thing they wanted to achieve is the bond among the children. Because what I can tell you, if you have grown up in a family where you have eaten it in a one dish, believe me, even if you are older, you won't fight each other.
Yeah, you bond.
You bond. Your bond will last forever. So
I had an experience last night, actually. I had a small little braai at my house there, and the women they were dished into smaller plates.
Yes.
And I did this thing last night, actually. I cut all the meat into this big wooden plate.
Yes.
And half of it, then I put pap. It's a huge Zulu plate.
Yes.
And I put all the meat there, huge, and pap there, and then some vegetables and stuff. And I put on the table. There were about 8 or 9 guys there. And I said, guys, come and eat. Guess what the guy said? Up on my plate. This is last night. I hope Pastor Giles and Pastor Palade, you are watching there. I'm selling you off. Other guys could not eat.
Yes.
They literally went into the dish there, and they went to get some plates inside, came and took their pap and took their meat, and they went to sit alone.
Because they are not used to sharing.
And those who grew up like me,
Yes.
said, but my chest, let's eat.
Yes.
You know, about 5 or 6 guys, and actually, like last night, night, and actually looked around and they discovered we're coming from 2 different schools. And I'm saying to everybody, let's share. Why do you want to take a piece for yourself when actually we are all supposed to be sharing together from one plate? And I could understand, then they are never used to it.
And another thing is, if you do it like that, there's no wastage. Because now I take my piece because I think, okay, I'm hungry. Then
you take a lot.
I take a lot, and then I don't finish it. Who's gonna eat
You end up throwing it away.
Yes, but if you eating together, someone within that group is hungry.
The one who is hungry will eat.
Is gonna eat.
Yes, and you who is full, take a little bit of what
then
you
you're
are.
fine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's African.
Yeah.
That's African culture.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, even when you get in life, you will have sympathy
Yes.
Yes.
for each other, and you will look at your brother. And my wife is always complaining, in a young brother's visit or cousin's visit. I mean, I say, go to my wardrobe there and say, hey, take this shirt, take these trousers. Not that you can't afford, but
Yes.
That sharing, that bond was created.
You know, yes, when our fathers would bring, I mean, we were about, as I said, we were about 12 or 14 of us.
Yes.
Our fathers, we still grew up in the 70s.
Yes.
So our fathers were still, you know, believing in putting us with our grandmothers and etc. While they were working and trying to make life with our mothers in town, all that kind of thing. So our fathers would buy us clothes.
Yes.
And little did they know that when you buy clothes for the boys,
Yes.
they are not the clothes for your child.
Yes.
They were community. They were community clothes.
Yes.
So the one who wakes up first,
Yes.
like when you used to go to church, the one who wakes up first, he gets the best.
Yes.
Because you iron and put them there, and the one who wakes up, hey, you just go there, you find what you can put on, and you dress and you go. So it was like community clothes, community food, and we grew up like that. So that we shared everything in common.
Yes.
It just reminded me of something because my parents, where they went into Lesotho. Actually, it was my great grandfather went there. So they went into a very remote area, you know, along the mountains and stuff like that. So now, when I was asking my father and my father's brother, in English we say uncle, but you know, to me, he is my father. It's my elder father. How did you grow up? I just want to know. I was interested, and then I was quite shocked to find that when they grew up, at some stage it was only one trouser in that homestead.
Yes.
Not only in the house, but is a lot of, it's almost like a smaller village of Amangasan. They were sharing one trouser. So to go to, when they had to go to town to pay tax, because remember those days tax you had to go and pay.
Yes.
You know. So
Wow.
yeah, so if so and so is going, you will get the trouser, go pay tax, come back, and then they will put it there, because they used not to wear trousers. They used to wear some skins like, yes, yeah. So they grew up like that. So
Wow.
I found that very interesting.
The one trousers.
One trouser just to go
When
there.
the one who needs it.
Yeah, the one who needs to take it and go to
It
the,
will be washed
the
and
white
put
man.
there. And then you look like a fellow white man also.
You see, also on those things, there was no such things that someone has been bewitched, someone with this thing. No, because that thing, it was accommodating the whole homestead there, you see. There was no such thing that say, if I wear something for you, I will be witching you. No, there's no such thing.
It was
We are the people.
in the greater tribes, in places like Ghana, for example,
Yes.
and some parts of Nigeria, and right up in the north, they use clothes like this,
Yeah.
those are the bigger ones they put on top, and they don't wash them. They are not washable. You just put them on and put them on and put them until they smell you
Yeah.
as the father of the house.
Yeah.
And the day when your child is sick and you are not there as the father, then they go into the wardrobe
Yeah.
and they take that big cloth and they cover the child overnight. And the smell of the father would actually heal the child, and they wake up and walk away. You know,
Very interesting.
so that ivumba likatata is
there.
so that's the time when a father would hug his child. It's when the child is now putting on the father's clothes, and poof, that within that aura and smell, healing could be found in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot we can say about this thing. I remember when I went to look for a job. My grandmother, he called me. I was preparing everything that now I have to go and look for a job. You see, after I've done bathing myself, wearing nice, my grandmother called me. Hey, come here. My grandmother used to smoke snuff. When I was coming, he put some snuff inside the mouth. When I was coming close to him, Gogo, what's now? I'm about to leave now. He said, with a snuff on my face. He said, go. You know what? I became angry. Why can you do that? But not knowing. You know what? I didn't just look around for a job. Just got a job. Where I was going to market, I got a job.
One time. She had put her spirit on you and said, go in peace. But not knowing.
Not knowing.
And then some of these young ladies, for example, now we are mentioning that, and when we back on our Msamo Gogo's stories, and you find that a child is blocked with a flu, and they cannot breathe.
Yes.
And Gogo never, you go to hospital to nebulize. They just close the mouth, put their mouth on the nose.
Yes. Suck all those.
Suck all that mucus in the thing, and then spit it on the ground. Our modern girls would die with a child who can't breathe because they think
you need oxygen.
Oxygen. What? When you as a parent, you are the oxygen tank yourself.
The other thing is, you know, when we are kids playing around, some things that goes into your ears by mistake. You know, Gogo, what he do? He call, hey, come here. He drinks some water just to wash up the mouth. Then come here. He open your eyes. He put his tongue around
your tongue.
Yeah, around your ears. He put his tongue around your eyes. Yes. After that, all the rubbish that goes in is gone.
And even there, I remember with a young boy, of course, someone has been bent, and you're told, hey, come here, pee here.
Yeah.
You urinate on there with someone who's bent, and they would fix that. Or you have problems with your eyes.
Yes.
An aunt who is breastfeeding.
Yes.
You must either drop milk in the ears.
In the ears or eyes.
Drop milk in the eyes. And then the kids will be healed. And not only that, even better still, when we remained at home, the mother who was there would breastfeed all of us.
Yes.
So it was not only about the mamas, they've gone to the fields to work.
Yes.
This one who remains at home would breastfeed the whole team. And not only now, I had learned when I'm grown up that actually cross breastfeeding improves immunity.
Yes, yeah.
It makes the immune system even much stronger, because now why we must drink milk of cows when actually we can be drinking milk from our mothers, which is healthier.
That is why in our African we say there's this say umfazi omabele made omele oncelisa abantwana abangaphesheya komfula, because actually that say alone, it was not meant good. If you are a woman, you have to feed your own child, even the one that is not yours, you have to feed them with your breast.
Wow. But I think you guys who are watching at home, and if you guys are all here, with the Mkulu Legoa, no Mkulu Ndimande, you can prepare in your closing remarks. But what we have traveled through, it's quite a long journey, looking at how the African cultures were in the past. We tried in as much as possible to bring food and water into the perspective, and to understand that actually African families, from marriages to funerals, to celebrations, to growing of children and everything else, it looks like just food is a central part of this whole ceremonies. There's no way you can be calling umtimba or umshado, no kube nesifo, or kube coming back from the mountain, and there is no food that is involved. It looks like food in the African culture becomes actually that connecting cable that seals up the relationships, that puts people together. Even as Mkulu was saying here, the relationships, the bonding of the children eating together from one plate of food, the restrictions of food to slow down certain growth processes that would be happening in African culture. But food, as it were, there is spirituality in food. And even harvest time would need to be announced, and when people have harvested, you don't just start eating. You make some special drinks, you make some special combo teas, which is alcoholic beverages, and these foods must be submitted and carried and eaten in certain ways, so that the African family knew that their life was connected to the ground they are coming from. And while we are enjoying this food, the ancestors who have gone ahead of us must also have a part of the eating here. And even when it comes to drinking water, you don't just drink water. If someone gives you water and you start drinking it, in some certain culture, before you drink the water, you pour a little bit to the ground. Other cultures, you drink, but you don't finish everything. That one at the end there, you pour it to the ground. Just to remind you that while you are doing this, you're connecting with those that are underground. Even when it came to the time of sowing seeds in the field, you would remember some seeds, you throw them on the road so that the birds can eat also. Then the other seeds are going into the field. And you find out these relationships, when they were well maintained, the relationship between the land and the people would become very symbiotic, so that you would actually know that what is in the ground is finally coming here, and what is here finally goes in there. And these relationships were established way early in terms of the African life. And our cows were a constant economy. Our cows were our milk. Our cows were our economy. Our cows were our blankets. Our cows were our clothes. And ultimately, the day we die, our cows were the coffin, which would actually cover us up again and send us back to the world of our forefathers. And that was me with Umkulu Legoa and Umkulu Ndimande. Your closing remarks as you are talking to the African continent at large.
Oh, okay, yeah, my closing remarks. If it was according to me, we should have go back and look what is good for us. Because you know what, things now is turning to be worse, from better to worse for us. We are lost. We are a lost generation. And if we can maybe go back and look what is good for us, then go there.
We go back to the past.
To the
Let's
past.
find the good
Yes.
that was in the past.
Yes.
Let's bring it to the present.
Exactly.
And then it's not just taking everything from the West.
Yes. Because
Take a little bit from the past.
some other people, they want to bring that thing, but they don't know how to bring it. They say they are lost. Some others, they say they want to create umsamo in a flat, which is wrong. It's totally wrong. And also some others, they are staying in our township. They want to create umsamo, but they don't know how to do it. And there's a lot that we can say what is happening in our township. But it's good for those people who are still in the rural areas that they got umsamo and they got a crawl that we call Tisbaya, because they can easily connect with that thing. Thank you.
Mkhululiko, the parting shots to the African people.
I will say to my African people, it's time to love each other. It's time to embrace one another. It's time to understand that we are connected as Africans. We should be one. We used to be one. Africa was one. So that Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885, I mean, white people, they took 3 months, sat down and decided to divide us. We need to reverse that. We need to go back to find out what was working for us so that we can implement those we can today, and also teach our generation to say, moving forward, where we would like to go. And obviously the land is important. So if we can't get the land through the governments, let's try to come together. Even if we come as groups, we put money together, we buy land, we start building our communities as it used to be before.
The days
we can
of
move forward as Africans.
And we are the last generation, guys. If we don't do it,
Yes.
I wonder if our children will be able to build
They will.
a village
They will.
and actually know what goes on into the village. But if you're out there and you've been listening to the program, we hope you've benefited something, you managed to pill up something. Please build yourself some huts, find land in the rural areas there, have a home. Have a home, not just a home in town. Have a home. A few cows there, a few goats there, a few chickens there, a few sheep, that are there in your home. Small little garden. Go back to your homestead. Collect your vegetables. Collect your fresh foods. You can bring it into your town environment, and it will reduce your budget. It will help you actually to live a much, much healthier life. If you cannot get your home right in the rural areas, in the outskirts of your towns where you are living, try and go and see the chiefs there. Identify a homestead. It is important. In case you get fired from work, in case you get sick, in case there is a retrenchment, in case there is a problem, you can always pack up your bags and pack up your things and move up to your own homestead. In modern days, yes, now you need your technology. Put some solar system around your home there. Dig a borehole around your homestead there. Bring a little bit of what you want from your towns, but have a place you can call your own home. And I think this is what you cannot say of a home, and it's a flat in Sunning Hill. It's a flat. How many people have lived in that flat? You are just a tenant there. You are there because you can afford it. Immediately you cannot. You are out. And another person is coming to that home, but have your own address. When your children are born, you can take their umbilical cords and dig them into the ground. Connect them with their ground. And when you eat your own food and you celebrate your own selves, when your children are getting married, bring them to this homestead. Let them sleep here. Let them live here. And the best way to fight another culture, one more time, the best way to fight another culture is to embrace your culture. Don't take guns. Don't fight. Just become yourself. Just be yourself. Eat your culture. Dress your culture. There's no war. I just refuse to do your culture. And I do mine. And we will have killed colonialism overnight.
Chinese have done that. You can learn a thing or two from them.
Just embracing ourselves. And I think this is one of the greatest non-military, non-militant, resistant ways that the African people can actually destroy colonialism. Colonialism on education, colonialism on pharmacology, colonialism on politics, colonialism on agriculture. We don't want guns. Let's just stop supporting the colonial system, whether it is banking and etc. And let's begin to do things our own way. This colonial system will collapse naturally.
Yes.
Let's create a parallel system of our African culture as we are dealing with an oppressive culture. Your host for today, Maponga J, Chigarambogo Garamashamba Huda Chiranawana Vanji, Tisubo, Zana Zatovera, Wanamatanga Gugara, Wanachigarama Matanda Novora, Mtambo Paruare, Chiteza, Chinotezera, Kura Pedo and Tambanacho, Tisuano Pembera Machira Machina, Widamitia Sosachiramba, Ponango Kubani Mashakumagar. Until we see you again, Sonasano Para, we're out of here. Don't do what I wouldn't do, but if you decide to do it better.
Galaxy Universal Network, inspiring Africa, making global impact.